Halo Reach is probably my favorite Halo game. The story it has is one of the best out of video games that I've played, and it was really important to me in my younger years. Now what if I beat the game in a way that no one has ever asked? Can you beat Halo Reach on Legendary without shooting? Before I begin, some other YouTuber has made this before, but he did it on easy and with a friend. I'm going to be doing it solo and on Legendary, the hardest difficulty. Some other rules is that I can't shoot a projectile to directly damage an enemy, I can give allies weapons, and armor abilities and grenades are allowed. With that said, let us begin. After resisting the urge to commit a war crime, I beat the crap out of a grunt for not getting off my lawn. Like the genius I am, I charge straight into a group of elites and get blasted. This death marks the beginning of the build-up to my frustration throughout the entire challenge. Me and the boys get into a truck. I got a first-hand experience of the wondrous Halo physics. This also raised my insurance rates on my truck. I got very scared from the grunts, so I vented my frustration on Carter. I had a bra moment. I grabbed the second best vehicle in the game. I witnessed a tragedy. I then grabbed the best vehicle in the game, and then proceeded to flip it, just like I did with my parents' Kubota. I hid from enemies by being behind a concrete divider, and then I morphed into it. After killing the final elite, I was able to progress onto the next section, where I picked up the target locator and put it back down, because I am a dumbass. Then I tried to give it to the Marines, and then I told the dude to bomb a tank. Eventually, I arrived at the first objective. I gave an elite a good ol' bonk and pressed a button. After clearing out the remaining bad guys, I drove over to the second objective to push a button. I grabbed a rocket launcher and then blew myself up because I'm a genius. I totally didn't have to struggle through that because of the Revenant when I could have just had my allies kill it. Afterwards, Cat and the Marine blew stuff up, and I showed them my amazing driving skills. All thanks to Halo physics. Very cool stuff. Then I did 3 barrel rolls because I'm a cool kid. The Covenant were so jealous, they blew me up. I opened the door, got on the floor, and walked the dinosaur up to the hunters where I took their lunch money. Cat decided today was a good day to fly. I joined up with some friends, and after dying my way to the roof, I watched Emil blow up ships, and George said he wanted to take a picture or something. Then I pulled a sneaky and kinda messed it up. Level 3 is an interesting mission because you can avoid fighting for about 90% of the mission if you have active camo. You can sneak around, and there isn't an objective where you need to clear out enemies until the final stages of the mission. But of course my genius didn't know that, so I had to spend about 2 hours trying to clear out this one part. Then I saw a little path you could take to get to the next area. I'm a dumbass. After facepalming, I came across the next section of the level and tried to skip this part. Unfortunately, I couldn't. Somehow during that section, I had lost my active camo, so I had to rely on Jun to kill most things. Fun fact, energy shields on elites recharge after not being damaged for a bit. Second fun fact, Jun shoots so slow that any damage will be regenerated before he fires another shot. So you need to get the sniper into melee range to be effective. But eventually, I complete the mission, only being somewhat frustrated at the end. Level 4 starts off with a bunch of banshees doing a flyby. I tried to hijack one so I could just skip most of the level. That didn't work. So instead I ran around the side of a cliff. I accidentally triggered the rocket hog drop-off somehow, so me and Cat hopped in and took a drive around the neighborhood. The neighbors weren't very friendly. I threw a grenade into a cannon and had more fun with cool physics. Here you can see my car being rolled around by a couple of crystals. Later I got angry and drove my car into a small structure. When progressing through the next part, I used some speedrunning strats. By climbing like a monkey through the metal bars here, you can make most of the enemies not spawn in. Except for a couple jackals for some reason. Not sure why they're here. I killed them anyways. I went vroom and then punched something really hard. The army should be taking notes here. I didn't learn my lesson. I got in a truck and somehow got George's Falcon to spawn in. So I hopped in and went to the first on-rail section of the game. This is also where there is a problem. I'm playing on Legendary. Legendary means the enemies do a lot more damage. On easy, or maybe even normal, you can do this whole section without shooting the grenade launcher. But on Legendary, the turrets will kill you. So I shot at only the turrets with machine guns on them and I survived. So unfortunately you can't beat Halo Reach on Legendary without shooting. But I decided to ignore it and see if I could complete the game without shooting for anything else. I then took a tumble. I would say that accurately describes what's happening here. I drove my car into a building and then took an elevator, like all normal people do. After getting to the top floor, I rushed into the room where all the enemies are. Then I did some ripping and tearing until it was done. And since Microsoft owns Bethesda, maybe we can get Doom Guy in Halo. That would be very cool. After I pressed the button, I did a Van Halen reference. George grabs my hand, something Miku can't do. We travel somewhere else and storm the beaches of our own base. And by storm, I mean going around all the fighting and waiting in the back for my teammates to do all the work, like any normal person would do. Eventually the door opens and I start trading weapons. I hop into a spaceship, and my footage is corrupted. Whoop-de-doo. So the spaceship part is another section you have to shoot on. On easy, you can ram your ships into enemies to make them explode, but this is legendary. You can't do that. Anyways, I get on board the enemy ship, press a button, I run all the way back to George and help him kill the remaining enemies. George is probably the best ally for this challenge, and he's the first one that dies. What a Chad. He even launches me into space, so I can't be the sacrifice instead. Anyways, I stood menacingly over a city, because I can, and I found out the Covenant were a fan of Modern Warfare 2. Suicide grunts are a pain in the ass, but you can just be brave Sir Robin, and then I stepped outside. But today, I'm not touching grass. I'm here to kick bubblegum and chew ass. So after I died my way up to the elevator, I pressed a button, and apparently they were transporting civilians. That's stupid, so I released my anger on some monkeys with hammers. After I bonked some more monkeys, I hit a button to make the elevator move, grabbed a jetpack, and smacked some brutes. I kept smacking my way to a helipad, where some civilians were supposed to be transported away. Naturally, I committed a war crime. Then I had a bit of fun. I shot the 2 Marines that spawned in, and that made all the civilians hostile. For some reason, that made the Falcons that arrived decide to mow down all the civilians. It was a very nice rescue party. Anyways, I restarted the checkpoint, and then began the second on-rail section of the game. This part is a bit trickier than the first on-rail section. It is possible to make it through without firing, but it requires a lot of luck. The only way to complete it is to hope that the brutes you fly by focus on the civilians and the Marines instead of you, and the Banshees miss enough shots. Later we arrive and I'm told by Sergeant Johnson the prequel to press some buttons. I impress him with some amazing driving skills. Press a button. Press another button. And then I press a third button. This game really likes its button pressing. Afterwards, I am transported to the city again, and I fly around this time. I'm supposed to press 3 buttons. Button number 1 makes me want to cry. After I press the button, some jetpack elites fly in and try to stop me. I beat the crap out of them and fly away. I arrive at the next button. A bunch of hunters are there, and all the Marines are dying, and I don't care, so I press the button and fly away. Afterwards, I have to escort Buck, the ODST, who does fuck all. After getting mad about Buck, I press the final button, and then bugs come out of everywhere, and I barely escape without dying. At the end of the level, I fly around and let my Marine shoot some turrets. Oh, and Cat gets a headache. Level 8 begins with me zooming by on a ghost. And this is another conundrum. There is too much stuff. Sniper jackals, ghosts, elites, grunts with fuel rod cannon, banshees, revenants, turrets, and a partridge in a pear tree. You are not getting past this on Legendary without the tank. Hell, there's even a rare achievement on the Master Chief Collection, which requires you to complete that section with the tank surviving. Even the creators of the game knew that a person playing the game normally would be challenged by it. Anyways, I get a sword and slice up the jackals that are in my way. The boys are all gathered around, and Cortana's mom asks for help, so I play Halo Tower Defense. I also hijack a Banshee, that gets me an achievement, and the Covenant aren't fans of that. Then I press a button, and we're on to the final level. Carter orders 3 scotches, and the Covenant shoot him for using the wrong 3. And wait, that's Inglourious Bastards. Anyways, I take a tumble with a meal, and then I do the cool thingy for an achievement, only to figure out it does not exist in the Master Chief Collection. And I wasted half an hour doing this. Eventually I get a mongoose and I am fast, and also furious. Some grunts get grenades, and a lot of explosions happen. Carter admits he's fat, and smashes a bug in his final moments. Finally I arrive at some Marines, who will all die before Captain Keyes finishes talking. So I run along a path, because there is no way someone can fight everything here and win. After avoiding everything, I give a rocket launcher to Steven. Say hi. Steven fucking dies. Hunter Smacking Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. The door opens and I give Steven 2 a rocket launcher. An invisible elite charges at me with a sword, but I've got the better gaming chair. I do something that happens all the time in London. Also, I forgot to include it, but I took the rocket launcher from Stephen 2 and gave it to Stephen 3, who then manages to blow up himself and 2 or 3 other Marines. Nice. Noble 6 sniffed too much gas. I stab a man for a hammer, and after smacking around some more monkeys, I finally get the final one. And then I get a cutscene of how a pelican gets shot down, and some elites get dropped on Emil, and Emil dies. So why didn't Emil just shoot down that phantom? That would have made the pelican not crash, which would have saved lives. Emil also wouldn't have died, and Noble 6 would have gotten off the planet and probably fought with Master Chief. What a dumbass. Thanks, Emil. Anyways, I bamboozle an elite, smack him around, smack his brother, blow up his cousin, and shank his uncle. Afterwards, I waited on the stairs behind the cannon because I wanted to see how little I could fire the cannon in honor of the challenge. You only have to shoot it once at the end, and you will survive and go into the final level Lone Wolf. I know I said the previous level was the final one, but that's because Lone Wolf plays exactly the same as anything else. You die to win, so I didn't count it. But there's the answer. No, it is not possible to beat Halo Reach on Legendary without shooting, unless you exclude the Falcon in level 4, the spaceship in level 5, and the tank in level 8. If you have anything I can improve on, or you want to see a future video, leave a comment, and thanks for watching.